All right, old school NBA fans, self-researched NBA facts. I got another video for you. As always, thanks to anybody who watches my videos, subscribes to my channel. I really appreciate it. I got one thing to ask is when you guys get a chance, if you're familiar with Michael Jordan Fans Are the Best, his channel. I had a debate yesterday on Sunday at, 2 o'clock or whatever. The voting is now up for this debate. It's the championship. If any of you get a chance, please check out the debate and vote accordingly. The voting is now up. I thought it was a pretty good debate. I know that there is some advantages that Nick has, like the recency bias. 87 Lakers are more recent. Most people, including myself, never got to actually watch the 72 Lakers. There's one advantage, and I know he is more of a friend to that channel, than I am, which I am a friend of the channel, but I mean, Nick actually ran the channel for a while. But anyway, I'm hoping that doesn't play a part in it. But anyway, just the more votes, the better. We get a lot of votes, I lose, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, if any of you get a chance, I really appreciate it. I did a post on it with a link. If any of you are interested in hearing it, I thought it was a very entertaining debate. Okay, in this video here, kind of an interesting one, at least to me, something I've heard time and time again, and I never really understood the exact reason. Why, when people look at the Chicago Bulls in the 90s, okay, right away, and rightfully so, the 96 Bulls are considered the best team, that Jordan was on. Okay, rightfully so. 72-10, maybe the best team ever. Probably are. Right behind that is the 97 Bulls, because they won 69 games. It was almost just as good a season. They tore through the playoffs. They beat Miami in 5 games. They won the finals in 6 against a red-hot Utah team. Totally get it. They should be the second best. But the third best team, almost equivocally, universally, I hear is the 91 Chicago Bulls. Is the third best Bulls team of that dynasty. And I got to say, I got to push back on that, and I think the 92 Bulls were the better team. Now, right away, the reason why people claim the 91 Bulls were the best, let's just say of the first three-peat, which I do not concede that at all, is because of the playoff record. They were 15-3, okay? The 92 Bulls playoff record was 15-7, all right? So I'm going to get into all of it. But right away, the playoff record was better. Now, I do not, and I think this has only happened in the last 15, 20 years, where people just look at the playoff run itself and say that is the better team just based on that. And I think that's wrong. I think that absolutely the playoffs count more than the regular season, no doubt about it. Now, in today's NBA, it's all it's about. People treat the regular season like it's training camp or something just to go get a 70-point game in, just fooling around. But they load manage, they skip games, they miss certain matchups to pad their stats. That's all they treat it as. You know what I'm saying? But I'd say as of about, 10 years ago and all the way to the beginning, it did mean something. I would say it was probably, somewhere around 2/3 playoffs and 1/3 regular season. That's about how you should gauge it. It's not 50-50, no. But when you take a look at the 91 Bulls, all right, they were rated number 1 offensively in the NBA. They were ranked 7th defensively in the NBA. Net rating of number 1, okay? The 92 Bulls were also ranked number 1 offensively, but they were ranked 4th defensively and also number 1 net. So going off of that, the 92 Bulls slightly better. All right. Now in the 1991 Eastern Conference, the best 4 teams that the Bulls had to deal with was the Boston Celtics. They were 56-26. However, Larry Bird missed 22 games, okay, and Kevin McHale missed 14 games. And when it came playoff time, Larry Bird only averaged 17.1 points per game on 40.8% shooting. Now, does that sound like the Larry Bird that we know? It doesn't at all. So going into the playoffs, Bird was hobbled. He missed, half the playoffs, I believe it was, or he missed a few games. He was definitely hobbled, whatever he missed. I can't remember if it was 91 or 92, but either way, he was hobbled going into the playoffs. So here's probably the best player in the conference other than Jordan who's hobbled. Okay, the next best team that would have been the third best team in the conference was Detroit. They were 50-32. They won 9 less games than the year before. However, Isaiah Thomas missed 34 games. And Isaiah in the playoffs averaged 13.5 points per game on 40.3% shooting. Does that sound like the Isaiah we know? And this is only a 29-year-old Isaiah. He's injured. He's not the same. He's not at all the same player. Okay, the third best was Milwaukee. They were 48-34. The best player on that team was Ricky Pierce. He was averaging 22.5 points a game. They trade him for Dale Ellis. I don't remember the details of the trade, but whatever. They traded him for Dale Ellis. Dale Ellis was a good player, almost as good as Pierce at that time. I think he averaged 19 point whatever. But then Ellis got injured and didn't even play in the playoffs. So there's your would it be the 4 seed in the conference? Well, the fourth best team in the conference, who now lost its best player. And then Philadelphia was 44-38, 6 games above 500. Charles Barkley missed 15 games in the regular season. Okay, that's got to affect some things right there, wouldn't you think? Barkley missed the games 73 through 79. So right at the end of the season, he missed a 7-game stretch there with an injury. So obviously going into the playoffs, it's almost certainly he was not 100%. They got him in there for the playoffs, whatever. But in the playoffs, in the first round, the Bulls played the Knicks. They were 39-43. Pat Riley was not there yet. It was like Stan Albritton and I don't remember, Stu Jackson, I think, were the coaches. They were the 8th seed. The Bulls swept them in 3 games. Okay. Then they played Philly. 44-38 Philly. They beat them in 5 games. But like I said, Barkley was injured. I don't know how bad, I can't remember, but it had to be some kind of a factor. Well, they were the 5 seed. So right away you didn't have to play the 4 seed, but even if you did, going back to Milwaukee, they didn't have their best player. And that's why Philly actually swept Milwaukee in the 91 playoffs. So you beat a 39-43 team. You beat a 44-38 Philly team with Barkley banged up in some degree. All right. Then in the conference finals, you play Detroit. Isaiah Thomas was definitely hobbled. He did miss some games. Not himself. The rest of the team, sure, they were all there. They swept them out in the conference finals. But again, this is, a version of the team not as good as the year before, largely because of Isaiah Thomas's injuries. Then in the finals, the Bulls beat the Lakers in 5. Now again, this is not the best team the West had to offer. They were the 3 seed, all right, and they beat the Lakers in 5, but James Worthy was hobbled. In fact, he missed Game 5, as did Byron Scott. 2 starters out in Game 5. But Worthy, when he was in there, somewhat of himself, some version of himself, Game 1, the Lakers won that game, and he played well. But then pretty much the rest of the games, he didn't have it. He wasn't himself. But either way, the Bulls were 15-2 in the playoff run, for a total of 76 wins, 76-23 for the whole season combined, regular season and playoffs. The 92 Bulls were 67-15. So they're 6 games better than the 91 Bulls. All right, the best 4 teams in the East in 92, you had Cleveland 57-25. The only injury they really sustained was Craig Elo missed 19 games. Okay, he was like easily their 5th best starter, maybe even their number 6 guy, because they had Sanders, Hot Rod Williams, Doherty, Nance, Price was probably their 5 best players. So Elo was either 5th or 6th best player, so it's not a humongous thing. Maybe it cost them a game or 2, but whatever. The next best team was Boston. They were 51-31. Larry Bird's last year, he was obviously just a shell of himself. He missed 37 games, almost half the season. So Boston still won 51 games, though, even with Bird missing half the year. Then you had the fourth best team in the conference was the New York Knicks. They did not have any significant injuries at all in the regular season. They were 51-31. They beat Detroit in a 5-game series, a tough series. Pat Riley is now the coach, okay? And then the fifth best team in the conference was Detroit. They were 48-34. So really pretty close to what they were the year before. Vinnie Johnson was like 36, and James Edwards, I can't remember if they retired or just went to another team, but they're gone. They're off the team, but they're pretty much done anyway. They're like 36 years old, 37, and they acquired Orlando Woolridge, a serviceable player to kind of help ease the pain in that. Okay, so to me, the conference as a whole was better in 92 than it was in 91. Certainly at the top 4 teams, or the top 5 teams, I guess you could say. All right, and in the playoffs, the 92 Bulls beat Miami. They were 38-44. So they were 1 game worse than the 8 seed of 91. They swept them too. All right. Now, the 4-seeded Knicks were 51-31. The Bulls beat them in 7. Now, the Knicks had Pat Riley as a coach. He was obviously a great coach, one of the legendary coaches, and he developed the same kind of game plan that the Pistons did, which was keep Jordan out of the paint. It was quite effective. So the Knicks presented a challenge for the Bulls because, Jordan played pretty well in the series, but the rest of the team was just so-so. But anyway, the Knicks were the number 2 rated defense in the NBA and the 6th net rated team overall. They had to play them in the semifinals, the 2nd rated defensive team in the NBA in the semifinals. That's tough for a 1 seed to have to play. They did win in 7, but the 3 losses is what people, got their minds stuck on. But still, they did win the series, but it was tough sledding, that series, if you go back and watch it. All right, and then in the Eastern Conference Finals, the number 2 seed Cleveland, they were 57-25. The Bulls won the series 4-2. Well, Cleveland was the number 2 offensive team. They were the 5th net-rated team in the NBA. So obviously they presented a different kind of challenge. They had a good team. Their talent was more spread out than the Bulls' talent was more top-heavy. Those teams typically, gave them problems. And then in the finals, Portland was the number 1 seed out west. They were 57-25. The Bulls beat them in 6. Portland had the 3rd rated defense that year, and they were the 2nd net rated team in the NBA. So they had to play the 2nd and the 3rd net, rated defenses. The Bulls were 4th themselves, and then offensively they had to play the number 2, which was Cleveland, because the Bulls were number 1. So they're playing the best possible teams they could play. And they beat Portland in 6, okay? Now, there was no major injuries at all. No, not even moderate injuries for the Knicks, the Cavs, or the Trailblazers at all. Unlike the 91 season where you had a hobbled Bird, Isaiah, and Barkley, and then the best player on Milwaukee got traded, and then the guy they got traded for ended up getting hurt, not playing. But all told, the Bulls in 92 were 82-22. The 91 Bulls were 76-23. So even with the better playoff record of the 91 Bulls, the 92 Bulls won 6 more games and 1 less loss. So to me, the Bulls had a better record in the playoffs in 91, but the competition was, a notch above what they played in 91. Like I said, the Barkley hobbled, Isaiah hobbled, Bird was hobbled, so the 2-seeded Celtics didn't even make it, and then James Worthy was hobbled, and even Byron Scott missed the game. So I just think when you take everything into consideration, not just look at the record of the playoffs, but you take everything into consideration. And also, Scottie Pippen was a much better player in 92 than he was in 91. I believe wasn't it 91 that he didn't make the All-Star team, I think, something like that. And in 92, he made everything. He was all defense, he was all NBA, he was All-Star, he was on the Dream Team, everything. Pippen, best season was probably 92, at least with Michael Jordan. So anyway, that's all I got for this video. Please leave in the comments, what you think. Who was better, the 91 Bulls and the 92 Bulls? Just going by playoff record doesn't tell the story. So don't just tell me, oh, they got a better playoff record, so they're better. That does not tell the whole story. So please, please look deeper into this. And I think the 92 Bulls were the best team of the first three-peat of the Bulls in that era. So anyway, that's all I got. Thanks for watching it. Again, if you didn't watch my debate yesterday, please, watch it and vote accordingly. I'd really appreciate it. All right, that's all I got. Thanks for now.